Alright guys, another video here. Apologize if you hear some background noise of some cars, things like that. Pretty busy. It's a good day out. Everybody's out. Nonetheless, I put in a Pioneer SPH-10BT radio. I replaced the old factory radio, which I did send out to Iron Crosses, had them put some preamp RCA outs, had them Bluetooth it, and put an input for like an input jack, a remote input jack, where I could route it to the back. But nothing I ever did, man, was ever going to get me the sound that I wanted out of my system. You know, I got a couple $1,000s wrapped up in speakers, amplifiers, and stuff like that, and that head unit just wasn't going to work. So here it is. The cool thing about this, it's pretty simple. Not a lot of controls on this, but I'm going to take this faceplate off. And when I do, I can pull this little dude out here, and I've got a phone holder. Hopefully I won't drop the phone I'm recording on. This thing slaps back in there. The only thing I can suggest is I did the Skosh mounting kit, and it's pretty shallow here, and it's kind of hard to get out. I got this thing stuck and cockeyed and awkward, and then there's a piece that fell out. Ever since that piece fell out, it still locks in solid. It's not going to go anywhere. Comes out easier, so I'm not putting the damn piece back in. Don't really know what it's for. I'm going to use a generic phone, but the idea behind this is that you can place your phone right there. Granted, you can't see your neutral light and your turn signals and stuff like that, but you know what, get used to it. Pretty cool because this thing angles up and down. Solved a couple problems for me because I was doing that little guy right there. Because when I mount my phone on the handlebars, the vibration on Harleys are just too much. You're either going to drop your phone, lose your phone, or eventually you will screw up that screen because of the vibration going back and forth on that. This is a lot more solid piece for the Harley where it doesn't vibrate much. Now, some of the gotchas on this radio is this right here. Pioneer were idiots. They would not talk to me about this radio and how to put it into a Harley because they said it's designed for a car, so they shut down. This line wire is a Park Sense wire. If this wire is not in place and tied high to 12 volts constant, the radio does not think the vehicle is in park, and therefore you can't get into any of the settings. My problem was I initially set this thing up for the rear channel to be subwoofer, and then I couldn't go back and change it because this was not tied high. Radio didn't think it was in park, therefore wouldn't let me do any of the setups. They wouldn't even help me on that. They wouldn't answer any questions. They said it's against the law. I go, guys, problem is I have a 1970 Monte Carlo that I would think about putting the same damn radio in, but I don't have a Park Sense on that. So you just killed a lot of percentage of vehicles that would probably use this. I get it. They're using a phone interface, but big frickin' deal. What do you think a full DIN or double DIN flip up does? You're pressing buttons, taking your eyes off the road. So I don't see what the hell their problem was. Here's another thing I ran into that was kind of dumb for them, but I can't remember, but how I solved it. But I bought the Crutchfield kit right here that retains all of my steering controls, handlebar controls, so that way it's got dip switch settings in here for what kind of radio you got. You're going to take it, you're going to plug in your factory Harley Davidson harness, goes in, plugs into this Crutchfield kit here, and then you're going to have some wire leads where you're going to go in the back of your radio there. So it's pretty simple, guys. Some of the things that I thought was going to give me problems, sorry about the fingers there, is this is an ultra limited. So I had the rear speaker controls, I had the front speaker controls switched to turn shit on and off. I had the intercom, I had the CB, all of that. Well, as much as I hate to see that go, because I've used it on rides with my brother, it was great because we could communicate to other cars, things like that if you have a chase car, but hey, it's gone. Cardo is now in my helmet. But see, here's the problem. Like I said, I mean, I had high-end components. I had the ARC audio, but I just wasn't getting the sound that I wanted out of my system. But here's some of the things I want to talk about. When you're mounting this, I've got this underneath this amplifier here. It's the ARC Audio Moto 600.4. I put Velcro in between the stereo and the amp, but it's still pretty loose and I didn't like that. So there's some supports on here to the side. I just banded some zip ties and went across with zip ties. Somebody else has a better idea, let me know. I'm all ears. This is just my concept of what I dealt with and how I handled it. But when you're mounting your amplifier, give yourself a loop here for some expansion. That way you're not just coming into this thing solid. You can see I got some pretty hefty cables in there. I'm not bullshitting around with that amp. Not that I can't think I could run all the power. Probably power my house off that. Here's some of the things I did, and this is just the difference between doing it where it's right and it's not right. What I did here is these are just ends so I can plug it in my speakers in case I need to remove it. But I went ahead and crimped those down with the right crimper, not a bullshit Radio Shack crimper, but got the right crimper. And then if you see, kind of blurry there a little bit, I put a spot of solder right there. So that way that thing's not coming out, it's not going to rattle, it's not going to be intermittent. And then when I'm done, I use heat shrink. So that way it's a finished look. I mean, you're paying 30 grand for some of these bikes. Don't screw it up. Don't make it look like junk. And then I check all of my phasing. I use a program to where I go in and check every single speaker to make sure the phasing is correct. You will be surprised how much amplifier manufacturers screw it up, how much radio manufacturers will screw it up. Your plus and minus are backwards, and then you got two speakers canceling each other out, sounding like crap. You're not getting the desired sound out of it. So that's why you see the red tape. A lot of installers now are not using black and red because they don't care about polarity anymore because they're checking it for the polarity of the speaker, and then they're putting a red sleeve on it, or in my case, I just put red tape on it. You can see the same that I did right here on this. Kind of hard to point when I'm looking. So those are some of the things that I did that I think clean it up, make it look better, make it look like it's right. You can see that, you know, everything is tucked into the amp, looks good, everything's marked. I had a labeler, so I'm marking wires, what they are, where they're going, things like that. I marked up here because I'm half-ass blind and I can't remember what everything goes to the amp. So those are just some of the things that's going to mean a lot when you get into this bike and you start dealing with that massive amount of freaking cables. Some of the things I did is right here, these are all tucked back. These are the old connectors for the communication devices, the CB. I put in here not used, CB connector, things like that. So if anybody else gets into this bike, even the antenna for the CB, gets into this bike and they're wondering, what the hell is this not unplugged? Or why is it unplugged? Should it be unplugged? Does that have a problem if something's not working? They'll know because I marked it up correctly. So again, there's my leads. They are crimped, they are soldered, and they are heat shrink just to clean them up. And then you can see, even though I had red, I put red tape on that because in my mind, I know that is positive based on what I found. So that's it. Wanted to make sure if anybody wants to put this in their bike, sorry about the whitewash going up against the sunlight, do it right. Take your time. Do it the right way, and that way you don't screw it up. And you'll be a lot happier in the end. But that SPH-10BT seems to be a great radio for the bike. I haven't tested it completely, got in and set a bunch of settings up. I got to imagine they'll keep improving it because at this point it's just an application they have to update on your phone. So any questions, shoot me a line, be happy to help and answer any questions that I can. If anybody's got any ideas on what I did to improve what I did, please let me know. You won't hurt my feelings. If it's a good one, I'll go back and make the changes. Thanks and happy riding, guys. Alright, so I got this thing mounted up and had some time on the road with it, and I just wanted to give a quick review on some of the things that I experienced and the things I like, dislike. I will have to say, having the phone there, ultra convenient, love it because I can change things. I can go to files on the fly. You could enter in a GPS coordinate, or not a GPS, but a ways to get to where you need to go on your GPS if you're lost, things like that. So really super, super convenient. One thing I'm going to probably do is just wrap this cord up to come out the side here somewhere so it doesn't look so unsightly when I want to charge the phone. Keep in mind, this radio was not designed for a motorcycle application. So when I say that, you got to keep that in mind. Because what the rest of it's going to be, you know, some negatives to the radio, but not due to the manufacturer whatsoever. The one thing that I found is on a Harley Davidson, they ride pretty rough, so it can tend to bang up on when you're going up and down roads that are got full of potholes and crap like that, to where you're not careful, you'll get a wear mark there. And if you're uber concerned about your Harley Davidson because you think you're going to have a show bike, garage queen, then fine, don't get this radio. Mine's got some road rash on it, brother, because I ride it. I'm not playing games on it. But I also notice, and this is not the right phone that I use. I wish I could use this phone. It's too old, it's light, it's small, it'd be convenient. But I use a Note 8, so it's probably the heaviest damn phone out there on the market and the biggest phone. But when you're hitting potholes and things like that, eventually the phone starts to tilt down. And, you'll see it coming pulling away, and I'm constantly pushing it up like that. Now, on normal roads, highways, that won't be an issue. I'm talking, country bumpkin back roads with gravel and potholes and crap like that. But if you were to reach that point right there, that's mission critical. That phone's going to fall out. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I have some RAM mounts, things like that I've used in the past, and they use this little spider web rubber thing to hold it on. I may look into that because I don't want to lose my Note 8. I have an iPhone I could put up there, an iPhone 6S. I could put up there because I don't care if I lose that thing because I'm not an Apple user. But yeah, so the smaller the phone, the better. But that is some drawbacks, is that this will start to bounce forward when you're on potholes and things like that. Or you'll just get a rub mark there. Thought about maybe putting just sticking on a piece of Velcro, the old hook and loop, not the new plastic one that's real hard, but the one that's soft. That way, when you put it up there, maybe it just adds a little bit of resistance. Doesn't damage your fairing, and at the end of the day, you could just pull it off and clean it off with alcohol to get rid of the residue, things like that. But I'd have to say, overall, that radio really performed and impressed me. Get this thing out of the way so people could see. But it impressed me. I was happy with it. And going from the factory head unit that I tried to have iron works, changed to put preamps on, just didn't work for me. This increased the volume, this increased the clarity, 1,000 times better than the old radio that's on there. But keep in mind, you could also take this phone off, tuck that back into the radio, have the phone in your pocket, and have full controls up here with all these simplistic controls, things like that. But it's pretty cool. So that's it. I just wanted to give that tidbit. That way everybody could have a full review on it as far as what it performs and how it acts on a Harley.